I think casting directors are basically casting actors according to the characters. आपने रॉबिन हुड को लंबा सोचा है, पर मैंने रॉबिन हुड को मोटा सोचा है. अब ये जो आर्गुमेंट होते हैं या ये जो डिबेट होते हैं, उनके बीच में जो चीज निकल कर आती है, उसको कहते हैं कास्टिंग. There's too many things about building an actor's career. So for that, you need to be involved. मुझे बेसिकली समझ में आया कि what is missing in casting. तो that time तो कास्टिंग डायरेक्टर को मतलब हमारी इज्जत जो होती थी वो बस कास्टिंग स्काउट की होती थी कि बेटा 45 साल की आंटी बुला ले. I still get calls. हाँ भैया एक दादी चाहिए 85 year old. They think that we are providers, but we are not providers. We are directors. Yeah, we need to make local films. We need to make films which are India bound, and only then the Indians will enjoy that.
Hello and welcome to ThePrint. Today I'm going to talk to somebody who's more well known as Hathoda Tyagi, but also equally known as Jana. But he's also somebody who's casted other actors. So we are here to talk to Abhishek Banerjee and ask, first of all, please tell us about how casting works.
I think, hello, first of all, thank you all who are watching this. I think casting is nothing but, a director's vision which we execute. It's just that much. And I think it's about how probably a music director is understanding the mood of the film, the mood of the scene, and preparing a music, preparing the music for the for the scene or for the song. In the same way, I think casting directors are basically casting actors according to the characters. जो भी हमें कैरेक्टर मिलता है वो हम सोचते हैं अपने दिमाग में, इमेजिन करते हैं. आप लोग रॉबिन हुड पढ़े होंगे बचपन में या जो भी किताब पढ़ते हैं तो आपके दिमाग में एक इमेजिनेशन आ जाती है कैरेक्टर की. वो इमेजिनेशन आपकी है. करेक्ट. तो अगर आप वो फिल्म बना रहे होंगे तो आप उस जैसा इंसान ढूंढेंगे. तो वैसे ही कोई दूसरा डायरेक्टर जब है वो अपनी कोई कहानी सोचता है तो वो एक चीज सोचता है और हम आते हैं उस सोच को अपनी सोच में बदलकर उनको अलग अलग ऑप्शंस प्रेजेंट करते हैं. समटाइम्स वो उन्होंने सोचा होता है वैसे ऑप्शंस होते हैं, समटाइम्स जो उन्होंने नहीं सोचा होता है वैसे हम अपने दिमाग से लगा के बोलते हैं कि यार ये बंदा रॉबिन हुड क्यों नहीं हो सकता.
राइट.
आपने रॉबिन हुड को लंबा सोचा है, पर मैंने रॉबिन हुड को मोटा सोचा है. आपने रॉबिन हुड को गोरा सोचा है, मैंने रॉबिन हुड को काला सोचा है. अब ये जो आर्गुमेंट होते हैं या ये जो डिबेट होते हैं, उनके बीच में जो चीज निकल कर आती है, उसको कहते हैं कास्टिंग.
Right. So in very short term, if I say, it's more tailor-made for every movie or requirement that you have.
Yes. And sometimes we know that certain actors can probably get into different character shoes. So we approach those actors for very interesting parts or very unique parts, or where we think that we need to challenge an actor with a particular character. We go to actors who we repeat basically.
So do you remember any particular film or time when you have had difficulty finding like a good person to fit the role?
Yeah, every film, I think, every show, whatever we do, I think there are always characters there are some characters which are easy to cast because probably we have the names or shortlisted people beforehand. But then there are characters where we need to look deeper than what we have. And then we have to get into research. Like if we have to find Chini, who is a transgender, in Paatal Lok, we do not know how to look for that because we do not know where to find transgender actors. So we start doing a thorough research in cities, in different cities. We call people from whoever in contact we have from theatre background or other social service backgrounds where we might find a transgender actor, and somehow we find that actor in Manipur. तो इतनी बड़ी जर्नी होती है. हम दिल्ली से शुरू करते हैं, बॉम्बे से शुरू करते हैं, एंड समय की एक मणिपुर में कोई एक एक्टर है Hathoda Tyagi, and we look at our audition and I'm like, yeah, this is spectacular. This is what we need. This is Chini. And then to convince the family, and then to convince the parents that we are going to take care of your child. तो किस तरह से वो जर्नी होती है, फिर उनको मनाना और फिर उनको बॉम्बे लाना, शूट करना. आप लोग देखते हो बोलते हैं अरे वाह बहुत अच्छा लगा, लेकिन उसके पीछे की कहानी बहुत लंबी होती है.
बट दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ आई थिंक थोड़ा कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट करता है एक पॉइंट को कि लोग बोलते हैं आजकल उतना नहीं, पहले बोलते थे कि अगर आप बॉम्बे नहीं जाते हो यू कांट रियली बिकम एन एक्टर. डू यू थिंक इट हैज चेंज्ड सिग्निफिकेंटली?
मतलब बात क्या है कि एक करियर अगर बनाना है आपको तो आपको उसी शहर में होना पड़ेगा where that industry is basically growing. Right. As simple as that. You can be an actor from wherever you want to be in today's time, especially because there are so many online auditions, casting guys doing online auditions regularly for ads and films and shows, and likewise other casting directors also. But you might get that first break.
Right.
But after that, you need to be in the city to probably hustle, to probably go and do meetings, to probably explore yourself more. When you interact with the same industry people, you realize that there is a lot of work beyond acting. It's not only about your acting, it's also about your conduct. It's also about the kind of choices you make. It's also about the kind of lifestyle you want to choose. Everything. There's too many things about, building an actor's career. So for that, you need to be in Bombay. Because otherwise you will be cut off from the reality of the career. You are just an actor who is doing films, but probably you need a second career then. If you're like planning to do that from somewhere else.
Right. So casting or acting, like could you tell us how is the balance been like for you?
It's been always the same. I was always an actor. Delhi University, Kirori College, theatre days. I think that's what taught me everything. Mandi House.
Right.
I think I'm here. It's almost like nostalgia for me. So, this hotel is the same hotel which I have to always cross, and I'm like, okay, Lee Meridian Hotel, एक बहुत बड़ा hotel है भाई. और एक कहानी. I don't know how true it is, but they used to say that Amitabh Bachchan का है ये hotel. He has some stake. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I used to always look at that. अच्छा, Amitabh Bachchan का hotel, Amitabh Bachchan का hotel. The kind of Bollywood references we have in Delhi when we cross Jor Bagh.
Also,
Shah Rukh Khan
Bachchan
ka
College
bangla.
also, no?
Kirori. So
Yes.
I was a huge Bachchan fan. I'm still a Bachchan fan. So I wanted to join KMC. I got it through ECA quota, which was basically 4 entries from all over the world, all over the country. So I was one of the lucky ones who got selected through an audition, by the way. So मेरी जिंदगी में ऑडिशन प्रोसेस बहुत पहले आ चुका था. स्कूल के बाद मतलब मेरी डिग्री जो है आज की डेट में वो इसलिए है क्योंकि मैं ऑडिशन में पास हुआ. In a way, KMC has that kind of a culture. So yeah, that's when the journey started, and for me, casting became a very interesting job profile because I thought that okay, I have to just stand behind the camera and give cues to the other actors and also help them probably crack that scene. Now I have been doing that since my theatre days with my co-actors, and I was also a theatre advisor for Gargi College. So I taught them theatre. Right. So for me, to just find new fresh talent and to interact with them and to probably mold them, as actors and characters, it was something which I was doing in Delhi. So when I went to Bombay, it was just easy, and also I needed some kind of survival money to be the actor I wanted to be. And I don't know how life just takes its own turns, and I never imagined myself to be an entrepreneur. I never thought that मेरे में business का कोई दिमाग है या नहीं है. बंगाली आदमी हूँ, so बंगाल में वैसे भी बोलते हैं कि you don't have brains for business. So my family is also in shock these days. They're like, अरे तूने कैसे खोल लिया ये office and all that with staff and everything. But हाँ मतलब वो हुआ और मुझे basically समझ में आया कि what is missing in casting. I understood that people that time तो casting director को मतलब हमारी इज्जत जो होती थी वो बस casting scout की होती थी कि बेटा 45 साल की आंटी बुला ले, 4 साल की बच्ची बुला ले, and we like क्या हो रहा है anyway. So that's how direct. I still get calls. हाँ भैया एक दादी चाहिए 85-year-old. So they think that we are providers, but we are not providers. We are directors. Yeah, we cast actors. We actually direct them their scenes. In fact, we are the first one to direct the scene from the script before the director does it. तो मैं तो हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि हम लोग उतने ही हमें उतना ही ध्यान देना पड़ेगा जितना एक डायरेक्टर देता है, क्योंकि तभी हम वो सीन को डायरेक्ट कर पाएंगे, समझा पाएंगे एक्टर्स को इन एंड आउट. सो इट जस्ट बिकेम अ वेरी गुड एक्सरसाइज फॉर मी दैट even though I did not go to any film school, I was understanding what camera was. I was understanding what a director's brief was. I was interacting with directors who were big, and I would have never gotten a chance to sit with them in the same room if I was not a casting assistant or an associate. And that's how it just kept on rolling for me. Anmol Ahuja joined me. He's from Ramjas. We were good friends. We had a lot of good times in Delhi, and we were the first interns of Devdi. When they were casting, Gautam sir was casting in Delhi. So Gautam Kishan Chandani and Vasan Bala had traveled to Delhi to cast Chanda and other characters for Devdi. And that time we were like huge in college. I was a well-known actor in Delhi University without boasting. So, but yeah, so that's how, I got a call saying, "Arey, yahan pe audition ho rahe hain. Why didn't you come and give an audition?" I came. Mandi House में एक छोटी सी जगह थी, वहाँ पे audition दिया. Gautam sir ने बोला, तेरे में talent है, तू Bombay आ जा. So I went for an audition. I did not crack it, but then Gautam sir offered me a job as a casting director. And that's how this whole thing started. And for me, it was also like an exercise because as an actor, what do you need? You need to like rehearse it every day. So that was happening in the audition room. So when you are giving cues to Jaideep Ahlawats, when you're giving cues to Amit Sial, when you're giving cues to Manvi Gagrus, Isha Chopras, these are all actors who I've been who have been, fond of since my early casting days. So you learn a lot. And that's exactly happened with me. So it was a fine balance between doing my job and learning from my job for my other job.
So since we brought in Jaideep and we've anyway, spoken of Paatal Lok, let's just come to the show. So that's a show, of course, it's an iconic show by now. It's been 2 years. It came out when lockdown and everybody it grew, I think, through word of mouth and, massively popular, critically acclaimed. I just wanted to ask how difficult, because it's a very violent, like your character, the violence is more probably darker for whoever watches it, probably because there's no dialogue at all, So I was just wondering how difficult, how challenging was it to do a whole character, whole show, and to, portray all of the angst, anger and all of it through, just the expressions and without saying a single word.
Yeah, it was the biggest challenge of my life as an actor. And what I always understood about acting is it's not about your dialogues. It's not about what you say, but what you feel. That's what all acting schools will teach you. It has to come from within and not externally. So I knew one thing, that in this show, I do not have any option to but, put this guy inside of me, because otherwise it would have been superficial, right? Because you do not have lines, you do not have dialogues now, and dialogues sometimes can be, they can be your safety net, because जहाँ पे emotion नहीं आ रहा है, dialogues अच्छे हैं तो आप dialogue बोल देते हो, emotion आ गया. But now I did not have that, so I had to feel the pain, the agony, the angst, everything inside, and and thankfully I was, convincing enough for people to accept me as that character, because otherwise वो शायद वो अनदेखा हो जाता वो character, क्योंकि as you said that there are not too many lines, of course the references is there, but what do you do with the performance? But all thanks to Sudeep Sharma, the writer, the director, Avinash Arun, Prosit Roy, these guys are masters, so the point is that when they are so they're so convinced about what they want from a particular shot or from a particular scene, they come and brief you and you know exactly what to do, because that's what our job is. अगर हम वो भी नहीं कर पाएंगे तो फिर एक्टर का बात क्या? So that's a skill set. Our skill set is to basically get the brief, remember the lines, understand the scene and deliver it. So it was easy because they knew it.
So before actually Paatal Lok, there was the character of Jana, and Stree becoming again like a sleeper hit almost. Initially people weren't sure, it's a horror comedy. हमारे यहाँ horror films ही ढंग की नहीं बन रही है, लोग ऐसा लगता था. So I was wondering, for me as, personally, I felt like it was more shock for me because I'd watched the character of Jana first and associated with that. And then to see you in something like a Hathoda Tyagi, which I felt like, okay, this is such a dissonance. I was wondering if you feel like, okay, somehow you've not been typecast actually. You had Jana, you had Hathoda Tyagi, and then you had a character even in Dream Girl, which brought in shade of probably Jana in certain ways. But it's still not typecast. And now you're doing a romantic role in your upcoming show. So would you say like there has been a deliberate choice not to do like the same kind of roles, because often that happens, unfortunately, I think, where अगर एक role आपका थोड़ा चल जाता है, character चल जाता है, तो अक्सर उसी में वो cast होता जाता है actor कहीं ना कहीं.
True that, but thankfully I was lucky enough to do different genres early in my career. So when I know I have a Stree, which is a horror comedy, then I have another comedy, Dream Girl, then I have another comedy, Bala. And then suddenly I have a thriller, Mirzapur, then I have Paatal Lok. Then suddenly I know that, okay, people have seen me in different genres.
Right.
And they're also taking chances with me. They're also taking that risk with me. Probably, that's why I get a role of a lawyer in Rashmi Rocket. That's why I've been offered this Munnes in Great Weddings of Munnes, where I'm romancing and, and all of that. Something which I had not really thought that I would get it so early, because obviously you want to do it as an actor, these kind of parts, but you don't know कि लोग ऐसा सोच रहे कि नहीं तुम्हारे बारे में. But it happened. And even now, whatever characters I'm doing, I am trying to keep a balance between the characters which I have done already, because I want to do them also. Why I want to play those characters, because I want to try and understand ki how many shades can I bring out in particularly probably the similar graph kind of a characters. कैसे कर सकते हो? तो मेरे लिए big challenge है. Plus I also realize that audience likes to see you in the same space. They love to, they want to see another shade of Hathoda Tyagi probably, or they want to see another shade of Compounder, and you just do it for them sometimes. You just do it for the love of the character sometimes. You just do it to challenge yourself sometimes. But my thing is that I always want to do different parts. So the minute I start feeling that okay, I'm being offered similar parts, I stop taking work. Or if they're interesting, why not? If they're not interesting, I will not do it. It's just sad. The story has to be interesting. Like if somebody wants to offer me another character who is a villain who holds a hammer and probably is called, some other thing. ठीक है, हथौड़ा त्यागी नहीं है लेकिन उसका नाम हैमर मैन है. पर वो हैमर मैन के जो कैरेक्टर होगा, that the story has to be good for me to pick up that hammer again, and I will. Why not? That's a challenge for me, that I have to make somebody believe completely opposite of what you have seen me. Which happened in Ankahi Kahaniyan, where I romanced a mannequin.
Yeah.
And I have a very dark history with mannequin in another film of mine called Ajji. If you see that film, it's a film called Ajji on Netflix. And if you watch that movie, you will understand what I'm talking about. Because that's a very dark take on a guy who is a child rapist. Okay. And how and what he does to a mannequin. And here I'm romancing a mannequin with utmost purity. So I love doing that, because I know it's in the similar space, similar world, but now that's about.
So since a lot of these roles that you've mentioned, which have been very diverse, have also been OTTs, I was just wondering, do you think that the coming in of OTTs, the way it did, I mean, obviously it was facilitated by the lockdown, आपको लगता है वो डेमोक्रेटाइज हो गया थोड़ा सा स्पेस, क्योंकि एक तरह का कंटेंट, एक तरह का हीरो, एक तरह की हीरोइन, एक तरह का कैरेक्टर रोल, उसके अलावा कुछ था नहीं. कहीं ना कहीं वो एक जगह बन गई जिसकी वजह से नई कहानी तो डेफिनेटली आ रही है.
बिल्कुल. बिकॉज आई थिंक उससे क्या हो गया, बॉक्स ऑफिस का प्रेशर चला गया. सबसे बड़ी बात ये है ओटीटी में. तो आपको ये टेंशन नहीं है कि आप इस एक्टर के साथ काम करोगे तो पब्लिक आएगी कि नहीं आएगी. So directors or producers now, they are like taking bolder steps. They're taking more exciting, they're casting exciting these days. Everybody wants to cast good actors in OTTs. Of course, there going to be space for stars. There's going to be huge budget shows and huge budget, films on OTT also where they're going to cast stars. But having said that, there is a fair equal amount of space for the actors also now. The upcoming ones, the current ones, or the ones who are still waiting for their own opportunities. So ye hai, and that is good, because now, as I said, that now it is on us where we reach. How well do we do? What kind of choices do we make? And that is going to shape up our career. And not the other way around कि आप किसी फिल्म का वेट कर रहे हो या किसी डायरेक्टर प्रोड्यूसर का वेट कर रहे हो कि वो आपको बनाए. आप खुद अपने आप एक रास्ता ढूंढ सकते हो.
I was thinking कि आपने जो अभी बोला कि हाँ ये हुआ है कि कहीं ना कहीं अब एकदम से OTT मीड ही like you calling in like big Bollywood stars or something, तो जानना था कि तो इस पे कास्टिंग पे कोई इफेक्ट हुआ है, इन द सेंस कि अब दोबारा कहीं ना कहीं वो मोनोपोली जो एक सॉर्ट ऑफ होती है कि आप बॉलीवुड फिल्में करते हो तो आप पहले स्टार देखते हो बाद में.
ये भी हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं कहूंगा कि नहीं हो रहा है. There is a culture where OTT stars are now being cast as उनको पहले कास्ट कर दिया जा रहा है.
अच्छा.
जो भी रिसेंटली 2-3 साल में निकले हैं, so suddenly you're like, okay, we have this one, now cast the rest. Earlier क्या होता था कि we don't have to have anyone, now cast. Okay, right. Which happens now also, but that has become a little rare. Let's just put it that the percentage has become very drastically changed. Earlier it was like we have to cast the entire show. Mirzapur cast करना है तो भाई सबको cast करना है. There's nobody in the picture from day one. Everybody is coming through a process. Now, because they have become renowned or famous on OTT, now they don't need to go through that process. They're already cast, and you have to cast the rest of the actors.
So, OTT जैसे I'm sort of adding on to the question जो पूछा कि democratize हुआ तो है because more people. Do you think इसकी वजह से local stories और बाहर आ रही है जो पहले शायद बिल्कुल ही नहीं बाहर आती थी, क्योंकि like I said कि बॉम्बे एक specific वो हो जाता था या दिल्ली हो जाता था सब कुछ. कॉलेज भी है तो दिल्ली में ही है, बॉम्बे में ही है, कहीं और नहीं जाते थे हम. तो
फिल्म्स में भी होने लग गया था. इफ यू सी फ्रॉम दम लगा के हमेशा से लेकर बहुत सारी ऐसी फिल्में आई थी जो छोटे शहरों के बारे में. कानपुर और इलाहाबाद का एक सैलाब उठा था हमारे बॉलीवुड में, वेयर एवरी फिल्म इज लाइक सेट इन यूपी और समथिंग लाइक दैट. but now you see films like Thar ban rahi hai, which is a Rajasthan, desert ka ek thriller ban raha hai, and people are making different. Anek is from Northeast, Bhediya, the film which is going to release in November, which I am a part of, is from Arunachal Pradesh. So they're set up there. So now what's happening is that we are really incorporating our the entire country, the space in our stories, because we can imagine, we can really imagine higher than what we used to do earlier. And we need to make local films. We need to make films which are India bound, and only then the Indians will enjoy that. It's more relatable than aspirational. So I think aspirational cinema ka jo time hai wo thoda kam ho raha hai, and relatability zyada बढ़ रही है, is because that's why people like the Indian cultured films. That is becoming more prominent than the films which are being taken off from the West. The ideas of the West ko leke jo films ban rahi hain, the kind of thrillers, or sometimes you see films and you're like, okay, this is a copy of a Hollywood film or a Hollywood idea. Those are not working anymore, and the more the raw, the more grandeur, like of course RRR, KGF, even though they're grand, they're very Indian. KGF is about माँ का आशीर्वाद, RRR is about desh, azadi, dosti. So you see, the core is very Indian, and that is what you need. That is exactly what I think where we are heading towards also. It's going to be more Indian centric.
Adding just a bonus question, probably because ये थोड़ा सा मेरा खुद का investment, because I'm also from the Northeast. So Anek obviously just released, I watched it, and you've mentioned that the next film is shot in Arunachal. I wanted to know, how has your experience, have you begun like shooting?
The best.
Best?
The best. Let me just put it that way. We shot it in 2021. We are 2022, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, 2021 March and April we shot that before the second wave, and it was amazing. We shot it in Zero. We shot it in Itanagar, and I don't know, like I the people there and just the culture there, everything was so unique, and how do I put it? Like, I think the influence of Bollywood is everywhere, because everywhere we went, we could only hear Bollywood songs, this, that. But also what I really like about Northeast, because I'm from Bengal, and, obviously, like for Rock On 2, I went to Meghalaya to cast. I just love the culture of, music and creativity and everything, which is very prominent there. And they really understand, the art culture. So that was very fresh to see, because you just miss it in some cities, I feel, in India.
A lot, I would say.
Art culture is very rare. So, when I go to states and when I meet people where they have that good art culture, I just feel good about it.
So coming back to, again, the casting bit, I just wondering, do you have any favorite character or actor or anything that you've cast that you want to go back and say, okay, ये मुझे बहुत अच्छे से याद है या बहुत मजेदार था ये?
I think the entire Mirzapur cast was like, the entire, everybody was like, for us, a hand-picked, let's just put it like that, hand-picked gourmet. That's the kind of casting I think we did, and everybody from like the smallest characters to the biggest characters who are superstars right now on OTT. I think we are very lucky and very, how do I put it, like proud of that kind of work which we have done. Because it was a नया काम था और एक हमने दिया है कुछ. We gave back to the system. And that is, I think, the main reason why I want to cast and continue further, because it's also about giving back to the system. And probably कभी-कभार ये लगता है as an actor, when you were not getting opportunities and you wanted somebody to back, probably I want Casting Bay to be that company for the newcomers or for the the talented ones.
So this is my last question. I just wanted to know if you have any favorite type that you'd want to do. Like, you have had the kind of diversity that you have, or anything aspirational. You've just done a romantic, so I know that's done.
Honestly, I think my aspiration is always a gangster. So I just love Compounder. I just love Hathoda Tyagi. I think मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है, और मुझे अगर वो 100, 50, 500 भी roles करने पड़े, I'll continuously do it, and I think I'll kill it every time, because I think I have a gangster in me somewhere.
But kill it also literally and figuratively.
Yeah, just on screen though. People still ask me, उस तरह लेके चल रहा है क्या? I'm like, oh God, like it's crazy. I've been actually told by CSF cops on airport कि भैया आपको तो बैग चेक करना पड़ेगा, I'm like, guys, come on.
But that is the popularity.
Yeah, that's the fun part. That's the fun part about it.
Thank you so much for talking to me. This was such a fun conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.